remember this guy I interviewed who was a little bit younger than me at the time, and he'd been a university student, and he was executed actually eventually for killing his girlfriend. But I just had this conversation with a very, very articulate, intelligent bloke, and I just remember thinking, God, this is so weird. Like we could be on the outside just having a drink together talking. This didn't feel, I think that if you have never been to a prison or never been to death row, it's easy to kind of imagine these people as monsters. And I've been to death row more times than I honestly can remember, and interviewed more people there than I can remember. And there was only ever one person that sort of gave me the chills. And actually it was someone I hadn't even interviewed. You walk along this bank of interview pods, basically, secure cells, and you're in the front and there's bulletproof glass, and you talk to them via telephone. So you have they're numbered, so when you go in, the public relations person will say, oh, you're in pod number 67 today, and you just kind of walk along and there it is. And your inmate comes out and sits the other side. Well, while I was walking along to do one of these interviews one of these days, there was this guy sitting like on the ledge of the seat. He wasn't even sitting in the seat. He'd kind of propped himself up on the ledge of the cell and was kind of had his knees kind of up and his arms holding his knees, and he was just stared at me as I walked across the room, like wouldn't stop staring at me. And I knew immediately who it was. It was a guy called Tommy Lynn Sells, who was a serial killer in Texas around about the same time as Resendez. And I knew who it was immediately because he's very, very recognizable. And I was like, why is he looking at me? He looked like he wanted to kill me. So that was pretty scary. But Resendez was a 5'0" overweight guy who spoke very softly. And I remember thinking at the time, we didn't need the bulletproof glass. He's not going to be capable of doing anything. I mean, the reason he was able to kill so many people is because no one suspected it. He's a very unlikely looking murderer, and he surprised these people. A lot of them were in the middle of, it was the middle of the night, they were sleeping, or he just kind of, crept up on them and then bludgeoned them with whatever blunt object he could find. So it was the element of surprise with a lot of these murders. Plus he killed a lot of old people and people who couldn't kind of defend themselves. So, but yeah, I mean, he wasn't frightening in any way, shape or form to look at. But that's sort of what's maybe so frightening.
Absolutely. 100%. That's what's something behind, right? Something behind there, something behind those eyes, something behind that demeanor that's something not right. Do you feel that you find something in common with all of these serial killers you talk to?
I mean, I've only interviewed, serial murderers. I've probably interviewed like maybe 2 or 3 serial murderers, but
that's more than me.
But I've interviewed a lot of people who have killed people, and you have to, as a journalist, you have to find something in common. Otherwise, they're not going to. And it's weird. I mean, I've read this from a lot of other journalists who talked about this as well. You can't be sort of judgmental when you're talking to them. So here's someone telling you about, in Resendez's case, describing the sort of minutiae of a murder, and I can't sort of sit there and go, "You're fucking insane! You monster!" You have to just say, "Oh, nod your head," and get them to talk more about what you want them to talk about. So that's kind of odd, but that goes with, I mean, a lot of the work I do with not just people in prison that have committed horrible crimes, but anyone I don't agree with. You can't disagree with them unless it's to elicit a particular response. You want to kind of ask them a question about something, or get a response from them. But yeah, it's weird sort of sitting there kind of with a sociopath going, nodding your head in agreement.